Welcome back to the news channel of Nghe An Newspaper and radio and television on YouTube platform. Here, we share and interact about the hottest and newest issues that the public at home and abroad is interested in. And here are some notable contents.
On September 12th, the Eastern Theater Command of the People's Liberation Army of China PLA announced that it had ordered its naval and air forces to monitor and warn the U.S. destroyer J.S. Higgin and the British frigate HMS Richmond. When the two ships passed through the Taiwan Strait on the same day, the synchronous zone accused the two vessels of engaging in disruptive and provocative behavior. In a statement, the synchronous zone warned that the actions of the US and UK had sent wrong signals and undermined peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. Meanwhile, the UK Ministry of Defense affirmed that the HMS Richmond's passage through the Taiwan Strait was a routine operation. The UK Department of Defense said that wherever the Royal Navy operates, it fully complies with international laws and norms and exercises freedom of navigation under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. The U.S. Indo-Pacific Command also described it as a routine transit. The Indo-Pacific Command stressed that the ships were transiting through a strait corridor that lies beyond the territorial waters of any coastal state. Freedom of navigation in the Taiwan Strait should not be restricted. Last week, a Canadian warship and an Australian warship also transited the Taiwan Strait. U.S. warships and sometimes those from allied countries including Canada, Britain, and France pass through the Taiwan Strait about once a month. These countries, as well as Taiwan, consider the Taiwan Strait to be an international waterway. China claims the strategic waterway as part of its territorial waters. Over the past 5 years, China has increased military pressure on Taiwan, including holding military exercises nearby.
On the afternoon of September 12th, a United Airlines plane made an emergency landing at Kansai Airport in Japan due to a suspected fire in the luggage compartment. All passengers and crew were safely evacuated, including 2 people with minor injuries. The Japanese Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism and Kai Airport operator said the incident involved United Airlines flight number UA32. The Boeing 737 departed from Narita International Airport in Japan to Martin Cebu International Airport in Cebu, Philippines. The plane had to make an emergency landing at Kansai Airport due to the cockpit continuously displaying a fire in the luggage compartment. After the plane stopped on the taxiway, all 142 passengers and crew were evacuated using the emergency slides. According to the Kai Airport operator, the plane issued an emergency signal while flying over the Pacific Ocean after taking off from Narita and was instructed to divert to Kai Airport. Due to this incident, Kansai Airport had to temporarily close 2 runways for safety checks. Currently, runway A, where the plane made the emergency landing, is still temporarily closed while runway B was reopened at 20:15 local time the same day. Japanese authorities are investigating the cause of the incident.
Mexico is preparing to impose import tariffs of up to 50% on cars and a range of other products from China and other Asian countries, according to the Wall Street Journal. The bold move not only raises the prospect of a trade war, but also puts Mexico in a complicated position as it must reassure its biggest economic ally, the United States, while also dealing with the threat of retaliation from the world's second-largest economy. Mexican Economy Minister Marcelo Ras said the government has submitted to Congress a bill to impose higher tariffs on more than 1,400 products from countries with which it has no trade agreements. The proposed tariffs range from 10% to 50% and target key imports such as cars, steel, toys, motorcycles, and textiles. Notably, the 50% tax on cars is double the current rate of 15 to 20% and is the maximum allowed by the World Trade Organization, WTO. The move comes as the U.S. is putting significant pressure on the administration of President Claudia Sheinbaum. Washington is concerned that Mexico could become a backdoor for Chinese goods to bypass the high tariff barriers that the U.S. is applying. Mexico's tightening of imports of Chinese goods is seen as a way to appease the U.S., especially when the USMCA free trade agreement between the U.S., Mexico and Canada is about to be reviewed next year. In fact, the Mexican economy is in a dilemma. On the one hand, the Mexican government claims that these tariff measures are aimed at strengthening domestic production and protecting jobs from the flood of cheap goods from China. The bill would help protect 325,000 industrial and manufacturing jobs that are at risk, according to Mexico's economy ministry. On the other hand, the decision could push Mexico into an unwanted confrontation with China. The trade partner is increasingly important. Data from China consultancy Automobile Light shows that in the first half of this year, Mexico surpassed the United Arab Emirates and Russia to become the world's largest buyer of Chinese-made cars. Chinese cars account for about a fifth of all new car sales in the Mexican market. China was quick to issue a warning and threaten retaliation in response to Mexico's proposal. A spokesman for China's Ministry of Commerce said that any unilateral tariff increase by Mexico would be seen as a concession to unilateral bullying, stressing that Beijing would take necessary measures to protect its rights and interests. Mexico is in a difficult position because much of its economy depends on exports to the U.S., said Jamazua, an analyst at Chivium China. If forced to choose, Mexico may view U.S. tariffs as a greater economic threat than any retaliation from China. Beijing is similarly caught in a dilemma. If it does not act strongly enough, it could set a precedent that would allow the U.S. to pressure other countries. But if it retaliates too strongly, it could scare off other trading partners. So far, Mexican officials have not commented. Given the current government's majority in Congress, the bill is likely to pass. However, how China responds to Mexico in the coming months could serve as a template for future retaliation against countries deemed to be undermining Chinese interests at the behest of the U.S. This shows that the trade confrontation between the world's two leading economies is gradually expanding to third countries, posing many unpredictable challenges and risks to the global economy.
On September 11, Thailand's The Nation newspaper reported that Thailand's gold exports to Cambodia had surged to about 68 billion baht, equivalent to about $2.1 billion in the first 7 months of 2025, up 28.3%, accounting for 28.2% of total gold exports. Cambodia has become Thailand's second-largest gold export destination after Switzerland. Such strong growth is easy to raise suspicions, especially when it coincides with the rapid and unusual appreciation of the baht, leading to many questions about the true nature of this trade. Ken Krai-Thenyakan, chairman of the Federation of Thai Industries, FTI, said that the Thai Joint Standing Committee on Commerce, Industry, and Banking, GSCIB, has been closely examining the issue. The GSCIB committee includes the FTI, the Thai Chamber of Commerce and the Thai Bankers Association. Mr. Khan explained that such a massive flow of gold exports has quickly brought foreign currency into Thailand, boosting demand for the baht and causing the currency to appreciate abnormally. This is in contrast to the current economic situation in the Golden Temple country, which has not yet fully recovered, and is in contrast to the recent decision by the Bank of Thailand to cut interest rates by 0.25% to stimulate the economy, a move that often weakens the baht. According to T-Nation, the main concern is the problem of fraud and fraud groups operating in Cambodia. GSCIB is concerned that the sudden increase in gold exports may be related to the informal economy or money laundering activities, using gold as an intermediary tool. Although there is no 100% evidence, GSCIB believes that this could be an unusual factor outside the formal economy and needs to be urgently investigated. To address this issue, GSCIB has submitted an urgent request to the government and the Bank of Thailand to separate the value of gold trade from the overall export figures. To have a more accurate view of other export items, thereby accurately assessing the anomalies in the data. In addition, GSCIB calls on the Bank of Thailand to closely manage the fluctuations of the baht to prevent excessive fluctuations. Abnormal increases or decreases in the baht will directly affect all sectors including exports, agriculture and tourism. GSCIB hopes that the new Thai government will prioritize the above gold export issue and act quickly to protect the Thai economy. From potential risks in the near future. On 12th, T-Nation continued to report in response to GSCIB's statement that gold exports to Cambodia may have contributed to the abnormal increase in the baht. Chris Char Hironi Asiri, chairman of MCS Group, one of Thailand's largest gold trading companies, has clarified the matter. He stressed that international gold trading is conducted legally, has nothing to do with transactions in the informal market and does not affect the value of the baht, especially in the context of the recent appreciation of this currency.
In a notable move on March 12, the Korean National Police Agency, KNPA, deployed over 55,000 personnel, including local patrol forces, riot police, and traffic police, to elementary schools nationwide to respond to a series of recent child abduction plots. The KNPA said police will be deployed at 6,183 elementary schools nationwide, especially on roads and intersections during school hours. They will monitor suspicious behavior such as gathering near children, parking for unusually long periods of time, or carrying dangerous objects, and be ready to conduct inspections when necessary. Local governments will strengthen surveillance systems through security cameras around schools, with data shared in real time at 217 urban command centers to support emergency intervention. KNPA crime prevention teams will also conduct detailed safety assessments of school areas and student routes and the capital alone. The Sea Police Agency on March 12 issued a school emergency alert to 1,373 schools and 780,000 parents. The online system provides real-time information on incidents involving children and guidance on how to respond. The CEUN government also announced that it will issue personal alarm devices to all primary school students from next year. After distributing about 113,000 devices to first and second graders in 606 schools this year, the expansion plan will bring the total to 360,000 students, along with 100,000 HAPME alarm devices that connect directly to the control center and the police, and send the child's location to up to 5 guardians via text message. The heightened security measures come after a series of incidents, including 3 men in their 20s allegedly attempting to kidnap elementary school students in Sae-Moon-Seon district on March 28. Similar incidents followed in the days that followed, including a man in his 60s being arrested in Gangbuk district for allegedly trying to hug a 9-year-old child and a man in his 30s in Sipo City on Jeju Island, allegedly luring a female elementary school student into his car with the promise of a part-time job.